Global Fight League signs Rashad Evans, former UFC champion. Global Fight League has more former UFC champions than the UFC currently has. One of their co-founders and chief operating officer has a lawsuit against him, though, from Citibank. The complaint alleges that he is indebted to Citibank for $47,399.41 on a credit card account.
Actually do some work besides swiping my fucking credit card all day, huh?
GFL signs former title challenger in the UFC, Jessica Penne. Penne was cut by the UFC a month and a half ago, and now she signs with the GFL. Potential fights. Michael Chandler has mentioned that Paddy Pimblett could be his next opponent. I mean, that would be a fun fight. I mean, both those guys are always in entertaining battles regardless. Rankings-wise, Paddy Pimblett is number 13 and Michael Chandler is number 7 in the lightweight division. Rumored matchups. Sean Brady has heard rumors that Kamaru Usman might be fighting Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 312. It does make sense. Both those guys need a fight. Also, Jack Della Maddalena fighting at UFC 312 in Sydney also does make sense. Rankings-wise, it also does make sense. Usman's ranked number 3. Jack Della Maddalena is ranked number 4 in the welterweight division. So at the top of the division, you got Belal Muhammad, the champion, taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov next. Hopefully, Rakhmonov is not too injured and they can do that sooner than later. According to Masvidal, the UFC does have interest in doing Leon Edwards versus Masvidal March 22nd in London. It does fall in line with around the time Masvidal wants to return to the UFC, and they do have a history and storyline built in. And Usman versus Maddalena, if that happens, that takes care of the top 5 guys. Sean Brady also needs a fight. He mentions that he wants to fight Leon Edwards as well. So if the fight with Masvidal and Leon Edwards doesn't happen, they could do Sean Brady versus Leon Edwards March 22nd in London. Muhammad Mokaev says that Brave Combat Federation pays him 3 times as much as the UFC did. If that's the case, that's a good situation for him because he won that fight so easily. It was just easy money for him. He also says he got paid $15,000 to compete in this grappling event ADXC6 in October when he took on Rogerio Bontorin, and Bontorin ended up winning that match. Patricio Pitbull says he'll be in the UFC pretty soon. That would be an interesting addition to the UFC featherweight division. He's asked for his release from Bellator because he says he's not getting any fights. Greg Hardy got knocked out in Moscow, Russia by Alexei Popin. Got knocked out with a left in the 3rd round. Alexei Popin has a record of 19-1, including 18 knockouts, including knocking out Greg Hardy now. At Shooto Brazil 127 in Rio, one-handed fighter Marni Max got a first-round KO victory, improving his record to 6 wins and 4 losses. Some other combat sports athletes with similarly inspiring stories as Marni Max include Nick Newell, who fought in MMA, and Jake Peacock, who fights in kickboxing and won in April in one championship. Henry Cejudo training with Umar Nurmagomedov ahead of his fight with Merab Dvalishvili next month.
Хорошо.
Cejudo will be able to provide Umar some information about Merab and some insight. They fought in February. Merab won a decision in that one. They went the full 3 rounds. All the judges gave Cejudo the first round. He landed some good strikes there, but the next 2 rounds on all the scorecards went to Merab. He used his wrestling and his cardio to take both of those rounds decisively. Super heavyweight fight, December 19th in Karate Combat in Miami. These guys might weigh like 300 pounds.
나부터 금일 7개체 70.60kg으로 통과했습니다. Легком весе 70.4 кг дорогошел на воду, весит 70.65 кг. Успешно прошел пешим. 강원도 선수는 오른쪽 테이블 좌석에 착석.
Yep. I know you mentioned you can't go to South Korea anymore for the Korean Zombies show, but Dorobshok Nabotov, the guy who asked you for a contract at the press conference, he's actually on that card. He's fighting Mateus Camilo.
So what I just said to him is, I'm actually going to do looking for a fight, and we're going to do it via satellite from Florida. So, you know, I had lunch with the zombie the other day, and he was all bummed out. He's like, this card's badass. I got people that should be in the UFC on this card, and I love the Korean Zombie, so we're going to figure this thing out. It's going to be different than the normal show, but we're still filming this episode of Looking for a Fight.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, because there's some talent on that card, and so I was
100%.
wanted to see if you guys can sign those guys.
Yep, we're doing it.
Jake Paul says he wants to do a rematch with Nate Diaz in the MMA space.
We want to, but our opponents don't actually really want to at that. So it's funny that Nate Diaz is like actually scared to fight me in MMA. Actually, the biggest payday of his life would be me and him in MMA. Yeah, so I'm ready.
In Cage Fury Fighting Championships, Eric Nolan gets his second one-punch knockout in the span of less than 2 months.
Those high kicks, I mean, they're reaching halfway across the cage.
Vinny Magalhaes, a former UFC and PFL fighter, was arrested in Las Vegas on charges of assault with a deadly weapon during a domestic dispute. He allegedly threatened 3 individuals with a weapon, though no injuries occurred. He is being held at Clark County Detention Center and faces a court date on December 23rd. If convicted on all charges, he could face up to 18 years in prison.
Yeah, listen, I told you I don't want to, I'm going to talk about Vinny Magalhaes. Because then they turn this into a different kind of interview.
This card on the 21st, Dennis McCann is off because the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association, VADA, today informed all relevant parties that Dennis McCann has returned an adverse finding following an anti-doping test conducted in advance of his upcoming bout. He is a juicehead turkey. Inoue versus Goodman, which was supposed to happen on the 24th of this month, is now postponed because Goodman got cut during sparring. He got cut over his left eye. Former UFC fighter Liana Jojua fighting at GFC 29 in Georgia.
So I started jiu-jitsu exactly 5 weeks ago. It's the first time I ever took a class, like have friends that do it, yada yada, but like never really watched it, didn't even know the rules, nothing. And it started because I had a back injury and they told me I couldn't wrestle and I couldn't dance and I couldn't play golf. And then I was like, well, can I try jiu-jitsu? And they're like, yeah, lay on your back and like see if you can do it. And I became obsessed with it and loved it. And my roommate and her boyfriend were talking about how they were gonna go compete at this tournament and it's gonna be in Vegas. And I was like, oh sweet, that'd be so fun. Like I'd love to do it too.